Hello, everybody. Welcome to my quick class today. My name is Brenda Miller, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. And every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, I go live on Facebook and YouTube to present a card or a class or, let's say, a suite, a bundle, just anything to help you with your stamping, introduce you to new products, and just in general, do some stamping, just to give you some tips and tricks too. So today we are going to focus on Cheerful Daisies and the Fresh as a Daisy suite from Stampin' Up. It is new. It just launched last week, and everybody seems to have ordered this bundle, all the demonstrators. So if you just do a search, a Google search, and do Stampin' Cheerful Daisies, you'll find tons of examples of cards that are made with this particular bundle. And you can also, if you use Fresh as a Daisy, you'll see items that are done with the suite. So the name Cheerful Daisies is for the bundle, which is the stamp set and the dies, the coordinating dies, and then the suite adds on some designer series papers, which are gorgeous, and some embellishments. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I mean. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop. And here you go. So this is the bundle. The bundle consists of all these stamps, and they are clear, the photopolymer. Sometimes people like to know that. And then there are dies that coordinate with them. So we have an outline die, we have some detail dies as well over here, and they go with the different flowers that are on here. And then there are some sprigs or leaves, or I don't know what you want to call these, but they are additional, and we can also cut out leaves from here in the centers of the daisies. And there are a few dies that are missing from this sheet because they are set aside right now for my classes that I'm holding on Friday and Saturday, and we will be using this bundle there. And I have to thank Lois Cutler for letting me borrow her bundle. I don't have mine yet, so but she was gracious enough to lend that to me. So in the catalog, it's just going to be easier to show you there. I want you to see this is this is the suite. So this is page 1 with some examples. Okay, and then we get to the meat of the suite, which consists of this beautiful designer series paper. So there are 12 different designs, 12 double-sided sheets. And then we have some elements, and they are these. They are called adhesive-backed solid gems. And these are the solid gems that are also part of this suite. And then, of course, the stamp set and the coordinating dies. So that is on pages 110 and 111 in the new catalog if you want to follow along. But let's go ahead and let's make a card. Okay, so let me take this and put it aside and show you the card that I'm going to make. So this is the card, and as you can see, we use some of the designer series paper. One of the things that you can note is that this designer series paper, these pieces, were scraps I had left over from the cards that we are making this weekend. We are actually using the reverse side of this paper, and I was excited to be able to just use my scraps and cut them into strips and put them on the card to make a great background. And then you can see here we're going to stamp the daisy, and here are some of those sprigs, or I don't know, leaves. I don't know what to call them. If you have a suggestion, let me know. And then this is one of the sayings, the wishing you the brightest birthday. I do want to show you my favorite one in here, and I should have made this card with it, but oops, a daisy. So sorry. I think that's just great. It just makes everything a little bit lighter. So anyway, so there are various sentiments that you could put on here. So let's go ahead and make this card. I'm going to put that over here. So I'm taking a piece of the thick basic white cardstock. Now, I'm not sure we've ever talked about that, but we do have two different kinds of white cardstock. We have this thicker paper, which is the same weight as our regular cardstock, and then we have our basic white paper, which is cardstock, which is a lighter weight. And I use that lighter weight for everything except card bases, because we like to have our card be able to stand up nicely. And when you start putting embellishments on the lighter cardstock, the card tends to tip over. Okay, so that is one advantage to using the thick cardstock. So I highly recommend it for your card bases. So now I'm going to take my DSP. Now I took the DSP and I cut it into 1-inch strips, and they are 3 inches tall. When you're working with 12 by 12 paper, I like to stick with some basic measurements like 3 inches and 4 inches. 2 inches works really nicely too, just because it maximizes what you get out of the paper. And then this is early espresso paper. I like the way that it went with the Black Eyed Susans. And I'm just going to adhere the strips to the cardstock. And you'll note that these pieces are each 1 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches, so a 1/4 inch larger. I'm just going to put on my glasses. Give me a second. Here we go. And I'll move on to the next one. So I'm just putting my adhesive on, and I can see, I'm not sure there's a right way or a wrong way to this DSP, especially when you get it down to these little strips, but we'll see what looks best before we put it on the card. Okay, and again, you'll see the reverse side of this has that pebble path, which is a new in color, and that's what we're going to be using at my classes this weekend. And that's why I had a piece of paper that I could cut into strips. Okay, not perfect, but we'll go with it. So now we want to apply this to the card. Whenever I have three pieces to line up, and I usually like to work with odd numbers, so it's usually 3 on a card front. Sometimes it's 5, but that's a lot, depending upon the size of the strips, of course. But what I like to do is to adhere the outside ones. Now you'll see that this card, these strips are going to take up a lot of the top of the card front, and I am just kind of randomly choosing which ones go where. You might have a specific order you want to put your strips in, and then you can do that. But what I want to do is put them evenly on the outer edges. Okay, and I just eyeball it, but you could certainly take a ruler and put it here, or you could use the grid marks on your paper. I am too lazy for that. I feel I can eyeball it, and I can always move it around if I need to. Like this one has to move just the teeniest bit. But then when you go to put the center one in, you can make sure that everybody has their own little space, all the strips. And again, I'm just going to shift this up just the teeniest bit. Okay, because I want them to be evenly spaced. Okay, so here we go. Here we have our daisies. So next we're going to take a piece of, this is the regular basic white cardstock, so it's thinner, a little easier to work with. And I'm going to use the stamp that is the, it's without the detail, the more solid of the daisy stamps. And I'm going to ink that up. You'll see I'm using this giant block, but that's only because all my blocks are being used on other cards. So I used crushed curry to make my yellow flowers. Now I could have gone back and done the detail. There is a detail die that goes with that particular stamp, but I didn't want to draw any further attention to it. So I'm not using that stamp, but you certainly could. It does line up exactly on there for you. And then I'm going to use some early espresso, and I'm going to put the center of the daisy. Okay, and there might be a right way to do that and a wrong way, but I haven't figured that out, so it kind of looks good no matter how I do it. Now, one thing I forgot to do, always forget something, is when I use a white card base, I like to make sure that I stamp first in case I make a mistake, but of course I didn't. We're just going to have to go with it. But if you make a mistake, sometimes you can flip it over and use a different side. But for this one, I'm just going to put wishing you the brightest birthday on the bottom. That looks pretty good. Okay. And that was, again, early espresso. So that stamping is done. So I want to take my stamp and I'm going to pull out the dies again. I already pulled them out, so they're here somewhere. I just showed them to you. Oh, they're right here. Okay, and what we're going to do is line this up. And sometimes it can be hard. This one I got lucky. But one thing you could do is put a mark on your die. Remember, this is not my stamp set. I didn't want to do anything to it. But I would put a mark on, with a Sharpie marker, on one of the petals. And then I would do the same thing on the same petal on the edge of the stamp itself. And then that way, if I stamp it with that at the top, I'll always know that the die goes with the dot at the top. So that's how I will cut that out. And through the magic of television, I, of course, did that. So here we go. So here we have our beautiful flower here. Now, I wanted to show you there, this is where we stamped it, and we put that in the center. But what you could also do is just use cardstock without stamping at all. And let me show you what that looks like. And this allows you some layering too. So I went ahead and I die cut out the same thing, but in crushed curry paper. And then check this out. So the die actually gives a little dimension on there. And then we're going to line that up. And amazingly, I got that right the first time. That never happens. And then this is the center. So I could die cut that out and then apply it, and it looks like this. So that's another way to make your Black-Eyed Susan. And so, I don't know, which one do you like better? Let me know. Thanks, Dawn. I'm glad you like that tip. It really does help. So anyway, so let me know which one you like better, the stamped one or the die cut one. But then I'm also going to I've die cut out some of the stems or greenery or whatever you want to call this stuff. And I'm going to use that for the background of my flower. So I'm going to go ahead and use the one that I stamped. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of the stamp in 3 places. And let's see, I'm just going to, normally I could cut this, but I'm going to just tear them apart a little bit, and I'm going to put the greenery coming out on, just attaching it right to the adhesive that I put there. And I even have one left over if I wanted to do another one. But this gives you that greenery, and I guess I probably didn't give that enough thought, but anyway, that's how we're going to do that. And we're going to use some dimensionals then to add the flower to the card front. So here we go. Peel off our backing and then add this to the card front any way you like. I like that the greenery is sticking out at the bottom, so I'm going to put it like that. And that's the card. Now, what we could also have done is use these adhesive backed solid gems, and I'll take them out of the package so you can see them more clearly. But here you see that they have different sizes, and these are some of the colors that are in the beautiful designer series papers that I've been showcasing on my Facebook page and Instagram. If you happen to look at that, all week I have different cards using different colors with these with this suite. But you see the yellow here. Now, I did not use that yellow, which is more like this yellow, Lemon Lolly. I did not use that, so I chose not to use the gems on this particular card. But let me show you a sample that I had received in a swap from Deborah Storbeck. She's a member of our group that meets every other month, other demonstrators in New Jersey, and Deborah did this card, so it looks pretty much the same. It's just using a different designer series papers, and she pulled out the pretty peacock, which is beautiful and not a color I would normally think to use with this. She made her sprigs yellow, so I guess that's instead of greenery, it's yellow, yeah, whatever. And then she did use the gems on here, and those gems are copper clay, and I think that's my favorite new in color that has come out. So this is how we used this bundle today, and I have some more samples and a video coming later this week on Facebook, so please take a look at that. But for now, that is what I had to show you. Oh, let me just show you how it looks if we put this on instead. That's the difference that the card, I couldn't decide which way I liked it better. So I decided to go, I wanted to show the stamping, so that's why I did that. But you can see that it looks pretty when you make the flower and gives it a little more dimension by doing it that way. So anyway, all of that said, let me take off my glasses. I'll flip over here. Thank you for joining me today. If you are interested, if you're local to Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and would like to attend class, please let me know. I have a few spaces left, particularly Friday night and Saturday morning. And we're going to make 10 cards, 2 each of 5 designs, and one of the cards features this suite. So hopefully I will see you either then or online somewhere. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.